said, you do whatever you want to do. And then she started a foundation by name Sopar in Canada and started to help her own village first with one of the first every doorstep water. 47 years ago she constructed the first water tank, and then there it started and it's expanding to multiple places. And by 1991, the program value became very big. Then they decided, let's have a legal entity in India so that we can better implement the programs. That's when Bala Vikasa was created in 1991. So far in Canada and Bala Vikasa in India, both are the same organizations, same logos, same mission, same founders. And we are not a we are a community-driven development organization. And as an approach, what we do is, we build the communities before building the projects. Building a project could be physical, water plant, toilet, school building, all those are physical structures. So before building those physical structures, what we do is, we build the communities. And what is building community? Mobilizing people, motivating people, creating leadership, so that with the unity, knowledge, skills, they can drive the development by themselves. So this is our core approach, and we are an outcome-oriented organization. And our headquarters is based in Warangal because Balagaru is from Warangal district. And coming to our activities, one of our big programs is Women Empowerment Initiative, which was started 37 years ago, empowering women socially, economically, and financially. And we have reached 1,600 villages. More than 3 lakh women are empowered through Bala Vikasa interventions, and we have 20,000 widows who are being socially and economically empowered, and 1,600 orphan children. And we also supported 560 government schools through Vidya Vikasa program by improving their infrastructure, quality of education. Then coming to the water sector, we are one of the biggest non-profit in India. We are the pioneer in India to design the first community water plant. 2 rupees 20 liters 20 years ago. Especially in Telangana, which is suffering with a lot of fluoride, the fluorosis. So we created India's first community water plant, which was providing 2 rupees 20 liters. And today we have established in 1,500 villages, and every day 30 lakh people drink water from our water projects by ATM smart cards. And then we have constructed 7,000 borewells, 450 overhead tanks, and 120 solar-based tribal water projects, and India's first urban water ATM. Walking in the street, you go to water kiosk of Bala Vikasa, you put 1 rupee coin, you get 1 liter purified and chilled water. India's first urban water ATM. And then coming to the agriculture, we have pioneered tank irrigation system, where we have renovated 800 irrigation tanks, which became an inspiration to Telangana government to launch Mission Kakatiya. And we have created one of the best model villages in the country called Ganganelpalli, which is taken as an example by Prime Minister Modi or our CM KCR government to launch Gramadurti scheme. So like that, we have 1,500 farm ponds promoting organic farming in 35 villages, and we have created India's first community dairy hostel, Gari Dairy Hostel. Right? We did in 8 villages, which is very innovative model, and stainless steel bags to avoid plastic. Women are having stainless steel cutlery bags. So like that, we have so many innovations, high impacting programs. Today, our programs spread in 9 states, reached 8,000 villages with 350 staff and 23 field offices located in different parts of the place. If you look at our journey, at least 6 programs of Bala Vikasa became models for NGOs, corporates, and the governments. So that's our journey. And by doing this 20 years ago, our donors from Canada, America were funding Bala Vikasa. They said, you are very highly impacting organization, you have very good practices in development sector. Why don't you train other NGOs in development sector? And then we started a training center called People Development Training Center. And today it is conducting training programs from 1 day, 2 day, 3 day to 1 month. And we have received participants from 86 countries. NGOs, government officials, we trained almost 4,000 NGOs from 86 countries. So in this way, we are a globally inspiring development organization. So that's the second vertical. And the third vertical is this campus where you are. the Center for Social and Responsible Business. Having 4 decades of implementing experience and having 2 decades of building the capacity of non-profits globally, we thought we are in a better position to train even the corporate sector, which is now coming with a lot of CSR interventions. They have money, but they have no methodology because it's not their core strength, right? It's like, they have chicken, but they don't have the recipe of making nice chicken curry, right? So we have the recipe, the best paradise recipe, right? In Hyderabad, why made startups? Because startups are now solving the problems which are not possible for the governments or NGOs through traditional development projects. So helping a startup to create a solution or a product to solve a social problem is for impacting society. So Bharat is in a business of impacting society. So whoever is contributing to impact society, we are trying to collaborate with them. So we wanted to become one of the leading startup incubators in the country. Right? For that purpose, we have created this huge facility of 20 acres with 140,000 square foot facility. So as part of our mission to promote social startups in the country, for the last 4 years, we have incubated about 40 startups and we just launched another cohort of 10 startups. So we want to become one of the key players in the ecosystem, and for that reason, we are conducting Impulse. This is our second year. Actually, the center was started 3 years ago. Unfortunately, 1 month after inaugurating the campus, COVID. So 2 years we couldn't do much. So immediately after COVID, last April, we had our first Impulse, and this is our second Impulse. A lot of programs are aligned, and we have partners like TSIC, Shanta, who is the CEO of that, and we have more partners. Our director Rahul will talk about that. So once again, I welcome each one of you. Enjoy the day. Make it a very interactive networking and learning. We have so many good sessions by one of the most wanted and highly reputed speakers from across the country. Okay. So once again, welcome and enjoy the day. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Shaurya, for your valuable inputs. I hope the organization thrives more under your leadership and guidance to become an example and inspiration to many more. Now, I take the privilege to invite our founder, Andre Tringers, to deliver the inaugural address for the day.
My dear friends, it is for me and my wife a tremendous honor to be with you this morning, to share with you our preoccupation, our worries, and our ineffective will to try to help our society, and specifically the Indian society. A few days ago, we had a budget in India, and reading the newspaper, I could see that the budget was quite well accepted. Of course, there are some weaknesses, but generally speaking, the people were satisfied with this new budget. However, there were criticism, and one criticism was that this budget was, unfortunately, an electoral budget, and that was aiming much more to the middle class people. The question is, but what about the 300 million people in need of everything, in need of we used to speak about equality, but our organization put aside a little bit this concept to speak about equity. You're probably aware of this report published recently by Oxfam International, and speaking specifically about India. I would like to quote for you a few lines of this report. It is entitled Discrimination in India, and it shows millions of people in India face discrimination on the basis of their gender, caste, and economic backgrounds. These interwoven and complex inequalities further divide our societies and make the voices of millions go unheard. Unequal societies tend to have higher level of inequality and poverty. We are working to end discrimination in Balabikasa. We are working to end discrimination and inequality. We are here to beat discrimination and inequality. We believe in creating a society where people are not forced to fight for their right to life and security, to be heard, the right to education, health, shelter, food, and water. All people of India should live as equal, and not only should face discrimination in realizing their rights. We believe the time is to act is now. Balabikasa and our team are strongly convinced that the problem of inequity has to be faced right on. And this is why in 2013 we decided, we the founder, but with the team of Balabikasa, to go a little further in our commitment for the poor. As Shoradi, the executive director of Bala, mentioned to you, we did many good things, I think. But in 2013, we decided to go a step further. And that's why we started to launch the idea to work with the private society. We, the do-gooders, decided really to learn from the corporation, from the entrepreneurs, and then in a kind of alliance with them to work together to face the inequality of this country. And this is why we built this center you are in. Now, Balabikasa likes to call themselves an expert in community development. And when I speak to our staff, I tell them, look, fellows, as a doctor, as a lawyer, as an engineer, we, agents of change, have really to be professional in our trade, not the less. And therefore, at one point in our organization, as a knowledge-based organization, we reflected about our work. And we said, look, there are about 10 rules that we have to follow to really create sustainable development. And in 2013, we set those rules that works at the grassroots level through our community development project can also be applied to the for-profit organization, for the corporation, for the entrepreneurs wanting to really do something for themselves, of course, but also for the society, and that's why we became involved in social entrepreneurship. And hopefully all of you understand the principle of social entrepreneurship, which start by our first rule in Balabikasa: development is people. And reflecting about the situation in this country, sometimes we wonder, are the governments leading us really for the people? This is a question that each of us has to answer. But basically, we, Balabikasa, this NGO working for the good of the community, at the grassroots, we are not talking about big community, rich community. We are talking about those 300 million people, poor people at the grassroots. And therefore, the first rule that we have is that development is people. And we entrepreneurs, and in our soul, in our heart, we are entrepreneurs for this society. We should have in mind, in heart, that development is first people. The people we meet at the village level, the people who are there working hard for their own equity, for their own justice. The second rule we have 10. I will not go into the 10. If you have a chance, you go in our network and you will see the 10 rule. But the second rule is extremely important for us. Shoredy mentioned to you the impact that we try to have with the women at the village level. And therefore, the second rule is development is first women. And women are the key for development. This is what we believe in Balabikasa. This is part of our experience with the people. And we believe strongly in women as agents of change in their family, in their community. Yesterday, my wife went to somewhere in Hyderabad. She didn't tell me where exactly. But she visited 3 microcredits managed and created by women. They started very, very small. And now one of them, and my wife will explain to you more, one of them was saying, now I am worth about, I think she mentioned 50 lakhs. 50 lakhs with 10 and 15 employees in the business of confectioning clothes and things like this. And she was working with the people around her, the people of the community around her. This is a good example of what is really sustainable development at the social entrepreneurship level. Women are key. Of course, there are other rules, I will not go into it. But I would like simply to mention the last one for me, which is very important. Development is result. When we speak about development, sustainable development, we should always have in mind result and impact. And this is why we are, and this is why we exist. And this is extremely important. If Balabikasa has some credibility, it is because we always strive for result and impact. And therefore, as entrepreneurs, when we deal with the community, we should try with all our resources to work for result, to work for impact. And it is only when this will happen, result and impact, that we will be really credible. Therefore, this is the message I would like to convey to you today. We in Balad Casa, we believe in the civil society, we believe in the for-profit society, because these are two aspects of the same coin. We, Balad Casa, can help the social entrepreneurs, the corporation, in working closely with the community. We know how. We have professionals in this field. And I could speak about the approaches we have, using an asset-based community development approach, using appreciative inquiry to motivate the villagers, using NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, not only to motivate the people, but to motivate and change ourselves. Because to be an agent of change is not only working with other people, but it is to work on ourselves. And as social entrepreneurs, we have to work out our values. We have to open up to the society, to the world. We have to think about others. Of course, we have to live. We have to have certain resources for our own family, for ourselves. But doing so, we have to work with the society around us, around the people, around those who are without justice. Therefore, that's my message. Let's get together. I hope that during this Impulse 2023, we will speak about networking. We will speak about working together. One of the rules of Balad Casa is development is solidarity. Alone, we cannot really do very much. But all together, in where you are, in what you are doing, in your social enterprises, if we put our strength together, our energy together, our heart together, things will happen. And society, India will change. Because personally, I don't believe that the government can do very much to change the life of the 300 million people really do. It needs a movement at the grassroots. And social entrepreneurs are at the grassroots. Balad Casa is at the grassroots. And therefore, my profound wish is to tell you, fellows, let's get together. Let's work together. Let's be together to change the world, to change India, and to bring to this country more equity, more justice. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Uncle, for your influential message. We are charmed by your sharp eloquence. I hope that today inspires ideas and discussions around the ways that we can make this world a better place to live. Now, I request Moses John Paul Roy Colley, Manager Communications, to felicitate our uncle and agendas with a shawl. Moses, an alumnus of You rarely get this kind of an opportunity to listen to the words of a great personality like Anshu Gupta. So, let us have the privilege of listening to the message of the first keynote speaker for the day. It's my pleasure to invite Anshu to deliver the keynote address to the gathering.
Thank you very much for inviting me here to this beautiful campus. And I'm also told to share my personal story. And it's interesting because, I often tell people that when we started, we didn't even know how many E's come in entrepreneur. And then someone comes and tells you that you are a social entrepreneur. So it's that story. I'm hoping that in 15 minutes I'll be able to challenge certain things. That's the role, right? I come from a very beautiful, honest, middle-class family of India. And I put honest here, which is the most important word for many of us. Because in those days, we used to say that there are two different kinds of middle class in India. One, where you can make your own house by the age of 30, 35 or whatever. And the second middle class, which can dream of a house or a home at the fag end of retirement or after the retirement. Father was a very upfront government officer, and we were just discussing over tea that by the time I did my 10+2, I had changed 7 schools. I mean, that's one of the biggest proof of what I'm trying to say. And why I'm saying all this, because a lot of you are sitting here, a lot of young people are sitting here who are interested in this work, who are interested in the way forward as social entrepreneur. Maybe that is the reason I'm just sharing some of these seeds. So in some places where we stayed, financially we were able to afford better, but there was nothing better there. So if there is one school, that is the school. Financially you can afford better, but no, because there's only school. So like if I talk about a place called Chakrata, most of us don't know, but now Google can tell you where is Chakrata. In those days it was not possible. So the boy who is giving you milk in the morning, after 2 hours will be sitting next to you and studying with you. And the most beautiful part of that upbringing, you have no concept of haves and have-nots, which I never knew, that this will help me in my process of growing in this particular field, because that is the school, those are the kids, and there are no separate schools. There is no one who is privileged who is underprivileged. We all are just kids, we play together. And many of us must have done that when we grew up. Then I come to Delhi after all these, in 1990, to do my master education. And meetings start changing. So, in this smaller town, the beautiful city of Dehradun, footpath is a place to walk. In the city of Delhi, or Bombay, or Bangalore, or Hyderabad, footpath is about life. People cook there, people live there, people spend their life. In a city like Dehradun, red light is for traffic. In the city of Bombay, Delhi, red light is all about business. People buy, people sell. So things started changing. And one thing which started bothering me was winters, the cold. Many of you now in these cities also have been experiencing, the chill which we never used to see 10, 15 years back. And why I'm sharing this, that how the ideas come, because I always feel that in this country, there are a lot of people who are working on issues, and there are a lot of people who need to work on the non-issues. Not the non-issues which are unfortunately created again and again, but the non-issues which exist. So the simple thing is that when you talk about car accidents, or when you talk about the road accidents rather, the only thing we think about is maybe lighting up road better and doing one more carpeting of the roads. Because we want to treat malaria. We don't want to kill the mosquito. And I am questioning that what if we just do a massive eye checkup of every single truck driver and cab driver? Can that not solve the problem of accidents? Instead of making more and more layers on the roads. So we went on this small mosquito issue where we found a lot of people shivering on the roads, and then my meeting with a family, which unfortunately used to pick up unclaimed dead bodies for the local police, a very extent profession. Most of you might not be knowing, but we all need to think that every single city, large number of people across the globe die on the roads due to lack of various things, attention to medical, to accident, to suicide, to whatever. What happens to those people who come from the smaller towns in search of jobs? So this person, Habib Bhai, used to get 20 rupees and 2 meters of white cloth in those days, and I used to do my journalism to pick up the dead body. And in my conversation, when I started writing and I started spending a lot of time with the family, because this was a very strange profession for me as a journalist, he said that in winters his work goes up, and many times he has so much of work that he cannot handle it. And then I found that within 24 hours, in the range of 4 or 5 kilometers, where he was able to take the rickshaw, he was actually picking up 10 to 12 dead bodies. In the summers, it used to be 4 to 5. All of us sitting here are thinking that people are dying in cold, which I also thought. But later I realized, no, cold doesn't kill people, because if the cold kills people, I would have died. I survived, someone else died on the road. It's not cold, but lack of clothing. That's the only extra thing which I had. Cloth, which you say, three basic needs: roti, kapda, makan, food, cloth, and shelter. But then it remains a non-issue. We don't talk about it. Cloth is a disaster relief material. Kurnool saw trucks load of material when the flood happened. All cloth is a very charitable object. When you don't need it, you give it. Second thing which happened, his little daughter, who was just 4 or 5 years old, in Hindi she actually said कि जब मुझे ठंड लगती है तो मैं लाश के साथ चपक कर सो जाती हूँ. Why I am sharing all this? Because these are the realities. We still live with large number of non-issues which are troubling the larger population. A large part of the jargons cannot solve the problems. If by making business plan we can solve the social issues, business people would have solved it. It doesn't operate like that. So when this girl says, when I feel cold, I hug the dead body and sleep, it does not trouble me, it does not turn around. You don't want to believe because of your own distorted lenses, because your curriculum has taught you that bodies are cold. You're not understanding the compulsion of someone. You're not wearing the lenses of people. When we get into this space, we cannot operate with our language and lenses. We have to wear the lenses of people for whom we are trying to work. That's how we understood the importance of clothing. We also realized that MDG to SDG to all kind of goals, you have 100, 200 issues from domestic violence to global warming, you will never find clothing written in this subject. A piece of cloth because of which all of us are sitting here. Very simple reality of life. So today, just to cut it short, we work in parts of 27 states. Clothing, all kind of old material is a new currency for us. We are about 1,500 people. Collect all the usable, non-usable, rarely reusable material from the society: cloth, utensil, footwear, carpet, chair, wash basin, anything and everything. Goes through a very rigorous process of sorting and processing. Done thousands of villages we go. Do not do charity at all. And I hate charity. Instant charity is fine. Sustained charity robs people of dignity. The first thing that the charity takes away from you is dignity. And without dignity, you cannot talk about development. So the model is very simple, and maybe that is the reason people call us enterprise or whatever. This material goes through a very rigorous process, as I said. Then in the villages, people identify their issues. A village says we want to make a road. Someone says we want to dig a pond or clean a pond. someone wants to make a bamboo bridge, with their local wisdom, local resources, they create that. After a few days of work, they receive this beautiful fabric kit created out of this material collected. So the barter economy is revived with two new currencies. On one side, it is the urban surplus material. On the other side, it is the wisdom of the community and the need of the community. Decision making is in the hands of people. And why I am counting all these things, that going forward, if we want to take the route of social entrepreneurs, there are certain things which we need to change, and I'll list those 2-3 before I go. Most important part of this model, the decision making is gone to the people. I am not going and saying that every village will have a road. Let the community decide what is their priority. We might call it a want, but that's the need. We have no logic, no right to say that it is want or need. Let them decide what is their need. And because they make it, they maintain it. Because there is a sense of ownership. So, in my opinion, social entrepreneurship is one of the way forward. It is not the only way forward. We cannot talk bad about the NGOs, about the social sector, about the social activists, because social entrepreneurship is a new buzzword, and all these buzzwords keep coming and going in the market, because the market has to grow, market has to survive. Let's be very respectful for every single person who has contributed and brought us to this space where we can talk about entrepreneurship. Very important part in going forward, we will have to work on ourselves. We will have to change our language. We will have to come out of these demeaning words like donor and beneficiary. I am still wondering that if I give time, I am a donor. If the community gives time, there is still called beneficiaries. If I put in my skill, I am a giver, I am a donor. If the community gives a skill, there is still beneficiaries. How can we have such double standards? And if I call myself donor, I will always be looking from an elevated stage. And I will always look down. We are not calculating the contribution of the communities with whom we are working. We come with big numbers, we tell what will change. We are not understanding, we say that we have impacted, we have, lot of places where we go, people say 100,000 lives change. And I always question, I say, boss, in my life I cannot change my own life. How do I claim 100,000 lives change? I've just touched a small part of someone's life. That never means that language needs to change in the way forward, because we have to be very mindful about the dignity. Very simple example, you go and buy a sanitary pad for your family or yourself, ultra-thin sanitary pad, you ask for a black polythene or a newspaper. You go and give one sanitary pad to the community, you click a selfie or you click a picture. And I always wonder, what is the difference between that lady and this lady of my house? So if we want to progress in the world, more than working on other people, I believe we have to work on ourselves. And we have no option but to do it, because post-COVID, as I always say, there is nothing like post-COVID. For all of us who are sitting here, everything with COVID. Because COVID was not just a health disaster. We need to be just aware of two things. One, anyone who has food in the plate in the night, so tonight, a place to go, office, school, college, tomorrow morning, someone who didn't go to the hospital, or someone who went to the hospital and came back, let's consider it our second life. And that's why it's important to give back, to pay back. And second part, when the world was going through the toughest phase, the ultra-rich innovated space tourism. We belong to, unfortunately, that part of the history. So the problems of the society will be solved by this gang of people. not the people who are sitting with tons and tons of money. Thank you very much.
That was an inspiring speech, sir. We are fortunate to listen to those valuable insights. Thank you. Now, I request Manjula Tathireddy, Manager, Widow Empowerment, to felicitate Anshu with a shawl. Manjula is leading a formidable movement to empower more than 15,000 plus widows, battle suicidal depression caused by social discrimination and exploitation, reject superstitious customary practices, and overcome poverty through a series of counseling sessions, awareness programs, and skill-based initiatives and advocacy efforts uniting all the sections of the society for the cause. Thank you, Manjula Akka. So now, let us have the pleasure of listening to the keynote speech of Padma Shri Dr. Birya Mohan Reddy. We welcome you, sir.
A very good morning to all of you, ladies and gentlemen. Let me first thank Bal Vikas Center for inviting me this morning. I was not aware of this hidden jewel in Hyderabad when I drove into the campus this morning. Certainly the people behind creating the Bal Vikas Center, Mr. Andre Gangris and Bala Tigraga. I don't know whether I got it right or wrong, madam, but let's applaud them for all of the work amazing work that you've done. Thank you. And I was told that, this is the limit of social entrepreneurship. And I need to do a keynote speech today. So I put a few thoughts of mine together to present to you what I believe is a way forward for all of us. If you go and Google on a bird called entrepreneurship, you'll find three elements coming out of it. First one is, it's a business idea. Second one is, he or she will be an entrepreneur, takes a lot of risk. And the third one is that they all have economic benefit as an upside for the effort they put in. You then go on to Google, what is social entrepreneurship? It tells you all about creating sustainable, human-centric, resilient economy that achieves growth, inclusivity, and equity. Let me prove that even entrepreneurs do this. I think Mr. Anshu Gupta talked about social entrepreneurship is not the only way forward. There are many other ways of doing it. So I go back to the basic itself to say entrepreneurship itself is doing a lot in terms of making sure we do nation building and societal support. Here is the proposition I have for you. We said, they start taking risks with an economic value. I'll tell my whole story. I just wrote a book, it's all public information, can be validated. I started a business with 20 lakhs of my money. Which is in gold days, 30 years back, it was $80,000. That was the equity with which I started the company. Fast forward 30 years, what's the value of the company today? It's 10,500 crores. So economic value was created. It was not just created for me. I have 28,000 shareholders in the company. We created wealth for the people who trusted us. We just not did that part of it. I'll go one more step forward. we also share the wealth that we created, the wealth creators. The wealth creators are my employees, or we call them as the associates of the company. So having said that, we entrepreneurs do the wealth sharing, let me move on now to their participation in nation building. The crying need for this nation today is all about employment. Entrepreneurs create jobs. My company created 16,000 jobs so far, 16,000 high-paying jobs. Isn't that nation building for an entrepreneur? I don't know, some of you may be, and some of you may not be familiar. In 1991, this country was on the brink of a disaster. A disaster very akin to what's happening in Sri Lanka right now. We didn't have the ability to pay our foreign exchange. What were we doing? Sheepishly, the then Prime Minister, Mr. P. V. Narasimha Rao, was smuggling gold from India to Bank of London to pay for the debt we had. We did a number of policy decisions. None. Who came and put up the streets to build the foreign direct inflow into this country is entrepreneur. What did we end up ourselves? We ended up $550 billion of free reserve that we have for this nation today. What do companies like us do? In the last 30 years since I founded this company, we earned $6.5 billion in net foreign exchange for this nation. Isn't that nation building? Truly, number of us, it's just not me, number of entrepreneurs, number of corporates, I'll probably extend it further, believe that for our success, there are 4 pillars. Not many people recognize what the 4th pillar is. Let me therefore call them out one after the other, except for the fact that I can't call all of them together and just sequencing them. You require a customer to run a business. You require an investor to run a business. You require people to run your business. We call them, as I said, associates. But equally important, who makes the company successful is the society. I went to a government school. When I went to school, the school fees was 10 rupees a year. I went to a government engineering college when I paid 500 rupees as my tuition fees. So who paid for my education? The teachers didn't go starving. They did not go dying. Who paid for it? The society paid for it. You all paid for my education. So therefore, the corporate does believe in terms of their responsibility to ensure that we pay back. So on 3 counts I said, whether it's employment generation, so 4 counts, wealth creation, foreign exchange earning, social responsibility, entrepreneurs also have a social responsibility that they fulfill. Here's a good example, I think, here's a good example of what we do at CSR. Because I'm very aligned to what Mr. Andrews said, all about empowerment, inclusion of women, accountability, impact, and so on and so forth. So my budget in CSR is fairly small. The company is averaging around $2 million the last 5 years. Every year we spend about $2 million. But here is what we created as an impact. We got 28 government schools under our management. Not for 1 year, 2 years, that's about 12 years. We did enormous amount of work in understanding what is school craft. It may sound very mundane, but here is one good example. I personally walked these classrooms 12 years back. Found something very amazing. As you move up to the higher classes, the girl child population becomes fewer and fewer. We went back and looked at the school register, checked out what's the average girl child population in the school. Less than 15%. In corporate world, if you don't know the answer, we do what is called as a relentless root cause analysis, RRCA. You ask this question, why 5 times? The same may sound very trivial, but this was the answer. Taps in the bathroom is stolen. There's no water in the bathroom, so the bathrooms are unusable. And my little girl child, the moment she understands what privacy is, she has only one choice to make, and that is stop coming to school. Because she can't hold herself for 8 hours when she is in the school. So we went back and asked this question, why are the taps stolen from the school? Because the chowkidar, the so-called watchman, is not in the school. He is doing his own private work somewhere else. There is no compound walls in the school. So we went ahead and signed an MOU with the government. We built compound walls. We have our security force, which works in all these 28 schools. 2 of them, 12 hours a shift. We did several other interventions. Mr. Andy, I said, what's the impact? So I report back to you the impact is, from a situation I had school where 15% girl child population, I now have 54% of my schools have girl child population. So therefore, I think whatever we need to do, we need to definitely measure. We measure to manage ourselves. We took whatever we had corporate processes back into our social responsibilities. We took something much interesting. 2 more examples I'll give you. We took innovation into our schools. These 28 schools are loaded with computers. Fascination. We all are. We want these youngsters also to get more familiar with computer usage, computer libraries, and so on and so forth. Actually, the finance minister, Mrs. Sitaram, announced about national digital libraries named 4 years ago. 7 years back, I set up the first digital library for Mr. Venkaiah Naidu, the then Vice President of this country, in his school. And what we did was, we started putting these computers all around, not only the 28 schools, we now have about 56 schools in which we have digital libraries. One day it struck to me saying that what happens to my hardware once the children leave the school at 3:30 or so in the evening? And my smart young executive came back and said, Mr. Reddy, it's very safe under lock and key. What's the purpose of that hardware? He said, no, we got to put that to use. And here's the information, we got this idea. We got this use. There's an initiative of Government of India called the National Digital Literacy Mission, NDLM. So we run our schools, all the 28 plus the 56 which are within digital libraries, as NDLM centers from 4 to 8 o'clock. In the morning, when we have children who come to school between the age group of 6 to 16 years, in the evening, I have from 16 years to 60 years. That's inclusiveness to women. Inclusiveness of women, accountability, and making sure that we have great asset utilization. We talked about a third one, which we could not scale because of COVID, but we still have one which is working very well for us. Is that now, how many of you are aware the GER, or the gross enrollment ratio of this nation going for higher education is only 24%. 76% of our children stop studying after 12th grade. What happens to them then after? They all go and get employed without having any skills. They are very happy, they get very poorly paid. The employer is very unhappy because they are not productive. So what we did is we thought about this very seriously and created the first urban micro-skilling center. This is in a place called Pakiridiguda, which is very close to Ramchandra. What are we doing? We got 6 skills. Who are these people who are skilling? Again, my girl child population. People who have passed or failed the 12 are now skilled in bedside assisted, confectionery, catering, the 3 more. And what is the outcome of this? I believe we have taken a measure of it. These people get paid 50% more than the normal untrained people, and we have 100% placement. And we are now churning out 300 people every 3 months, or so far we have probably done about 3,000 with them. So therefore, entrepreneurship, which moves into the corporate world, certainly is equally important as the social entrepreneurship. And to me, I'll start with my last comment, is all around how important entrepreneurship is for this nation. I'm sure everybody is familiar with this word called demographic dividend. Very briefly, demographic dividend is if 51% of a nation's population is in the age group of 16 to 65 years, that nation is supposed to be enjoying demographic dividend. And so what's the outcome of demographic dividend is a nation has young population. India, the average age is 29 years right now, compared to 37 in China, 39 in the United States, and so on and so forth. So that the young population countries are supposed to be very vibrant, and they would have an economic growth which is faster than any other country. That is what the outcome of demographic dividend is. Proof of the matter, South Korea had this advantage, thereafter it was Japan, and the third one was China. India has right now 62% of our population is between that 16 to 65 years. But here's the catch to it. This also means that we put 1 million people in the streets of India every month for jobs. Or it's 10 million people every year. Or 100 million jobs are required in the next 10 years. But actually, the demographic dividend will go all the way to 2037, I guess, somewhere around that period. So the result is, and so therefore jobs are very critical for this country. And there is evidence at this point of time, all around the world, that only 40% of net new jobs get created by existing large companies. Who creates the other 60% of jobs are the startups, the small and medium enterprises. So there's enormous amount of need to provide more amount of momentum. We're all talking about, certainly about 84,000 startups are there in India in the last 4 years. This is the DPIIT statistic which is going on around right now. But to give you a flavor, if you were to hit that number for 100 million jobs, 10 crore jobs, we need to create 500,000 startups every year. So remember, this entrepreneurship is extremely critical for this nation. And it's also, but at the same time, it is happening at the necessity is coming at a very opportunistic time. Why do I call it opportunity? 2 reasons, and I'll stop after that. One is my favorite, which is technology. Technology has eased at its best. Today, technology is eating every industry according to us. We go back and Google around and find out which are the largest market cap companies in the world. All the 5 will be technology companies. The first time a technology company appeared in the top 5 market cap companies in the world was in 2006. So the flood started from 2006 onwards when technology started overtaking. We're seeing adoption of technology is much faster. It took 105 years for electricity to reach out to 90% of the population. 65% of the universe population got mobile phones within 20 years after their launch. And certainly we see technology is also dropping the prices dramatically. Drones used to cost 200 times what they're costing today. The genome testing was costing 1,000 times what's costing today 30 years back. So therefore, you are seeing an enormous amount of disruption in technology, and technology disruptions lead into opportunities. It's a threat for existing large players, but it's an opportunity for a fresh mind, a young mind who wants to start a company. And I also think entrepreneurship is the right opportunistic movement because you have a government which is very supportive, the environment which is very vibrant. Shanta is here from our Telangana State Innovation Center. And what is she doing? Actually promoting innovation and in the school systems, in the education system. Never heard about For people like me who went to school, that innovation was a word we thought about. We have an ecosystem which is called a T-Hub, T-Works, it goes on. TSIC, of course, and then task. Not necessarily just in Telangana, the whole country itself. At the nation level, an enormous amount of changes coming in terms of bringing ease of doing business much better and better. So timing could not be any better to start entrepreneurship. Whether it is social entrepreneurship or it's an entrepreneurship as entrepreneurship. So I leave those thoughts with all of you. Thank you very much for listening to me and thank you for giving this opportunity.
That was a motivating session, sir, and we are very privileged to listen to those wonderful words, especially on practices for increasing girl-child enrollment in government schools, which would definitely provide equal rights and opportunities to girls and young women in the country. Well, I'm also happy to share that Bala Vikasa has also adopted 540 schools, providing them digital libraries, computer skilling and science labs in the state of Telangana. And I'm very glad to say, Sir has authored a book, Innovate in India from Dream to $1 Billion Sign, which is now available in our stores. And as part of the meet the session, Sir will be available in our executive room and will be signing the book who is going to purchase. So don't miss this golden opportunity. Now, I request Tirupati Pitala, Manager Water Conservation and Sustainable Agriculture, to felicitate Mohan Reddy Sir with a shawl. Tirupati Anna is championing farmer-led water conservation and has 70,000 plus farmers and their families benefit water conservation activities at the grassroots to the resultation of 800 plus irrigation plants and construction of 40 plus farm ponds. And he is instrumental in motivating 600 plus farmers shift to organic farming, which help maximize their profits and produce healthy food for a sustainable agriculture. Thank you, Anna. Now, I request Ms. Shanta Tota, Chief Innovation Officer, Telangana State Innovation Council, to talk about the various initiatives benefiting the startups and social entrepreneurship ecosystem enablers.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Warm welcome to the second edition of Impulse, and I'm so happy that Telangana State Innovation Cell is partnering for the second time to put together this wonderful summit with the Bala Vikasa. So you heard our keynote speakers talking and sharing thought-provoking insights with us today. For the first time, in fact, after a couple of months, I sat very relaxed and was kind of listening to all these thoughts. We are always running behind a lot of initiatives and ensuring, what we are supposed to do on a daily basis. Telangana State Innovation Cell is the brainchild of our Honorable Minister KTR Garu, and the beautiful mandate, the vision that we are working towards is to build and nurture the culture of innovation across the state. You heard it right, across the 33 districts of Telangana. So the mandates we are working on, as DDR sir mentioned, innovation in school systems. We do handhold all the students across the state, across especially the school children from Jilla Parishad High Schools. There are 25,000 schools in Telangana. We teach students about problem identification, coming up with innovative solutions, what is design thinking, what is empathy, how would you create prototype and move those prototypes into the market. It's a beautiful mandate. We've been working in almost we sensitized 50,000 plus students, especially students from Jilla Parishad High Schools. So the innovation aspect, how would we create the mindset? The creation of mindset is the key. Once you create the mindset, then we create the pipeline of entrepreneurs who feed into the beautiful innovation system that we have created in the last 8.5 years ago. When the state was formed, Telangana being the youngest state of India, there were only 2 to 3 incubation centers. Now, fast forward 8.5 years, now we have 50 plus incubation centers in Telangana. Who are the entrepreneurs? Where are we getting all these budding entrepreneurs from? So we wanted to create that pipeline. The mindset shift has to happen. As Mr. Andrew mentioned, grassroots and social entrepreneurship entrepreneurs. So we help a lot of these rural innovators who are innovating on a daily basis. We scout and identify them. We have our flagship program called Indeed Innovator. That's our logo, Telangana State Innovation Cell, and the tagline is Indeed Innovator. Our IT Minister, KTR, said, always believes in this. The youth from the tier 2 and tier 3 cities, they have a lot of fire in their belly. They innovate, but how would we kind of capture them, their mindset? We scout and recognize these innovators, and every year we showcase their innovations. The mandate, unofficially we have our mothers as our innovators at home, but we wanted to officially scout innovators who are thinking outside the box, who are solving social problems and also grassroots level challenges. The other one is we work very closely with government officials and we sensitize government officials on what is innovation and entrepreneurship. We showcase the beautiful ecosystem that we have built in the 8.5 years in Telangana. Telangana is one of the top performers when it comes to the innovation ecosystem and also the best practices that we have in place. Having said that, although we are working very closely with grassroots and social entrepreneurs, we thought government, when I say we, is government of Telangana, very progressively thought about building and strengthening the social entrepreneurship ecosystem also. So we are working with international organizations on how would we kind of bring that culture of social innovation and creating that ecosystem by partnering with relevant partners across the globe. In fact, we thought of establishing innovation ecosystem explicitly for social entrepreneurs. So we have IT towers in 5 districts of Telangana. When I said we look into state as a whole, then we are going and establishing IT towers in other districts of Telangana. 5 are already established and 2 more are upcoming. So in these IT towers, this is not only for IT companies to establish their shops, but we are also focusing on how would we have some incubation space explicitly for social entrepreneurs. We are putting together some funds to help these startups scale up. We are also creating skill development programs for these social entrepreneurs. But the bottom line is everybody is thinking about how do you define social entrepreneurs? How would you measure the impact, right? As Anshul said, we have to get into the lens of the user, like the beneficiary. What is the impact that we are creating? So we are creating. Government of Telangana has done a lot of first of its kind of programs or initiatives or organizations. But for the first time, we are building a social impact model that will assess a social startup. From the very aspect of defining what is a social startup, what is the impact it is creating, how would we assess, like if there are like a pool of social startup, which is the best startup? Which startup has to get the funding support? All the resources required for them to scale up. So Government of Telangana is putting together this model, and we will be very soon releasing this model for not only the stakeholders from Telangana but across India and also international ecosystem to leverage this model. So we are doing phenomenal stuff, and this is the stepping stone. We'll never get into complacency saying that we have achieved what we are supposed to do. It's like one step at a time, and great opportunity to work with Government of Telangana, being part of this ecosystem for past 6.5 years in the last 8.5 years of the state's formation. And thank you so much to all the guests on stage and off stage for joining us today. And please, there are fabulous sessions lined up today, the panel sessions, the master classes. And I wanted to even put this in front of you guys that we scouted best innovators who are working in the social space, some startups which are working in the social sector. Please go talk to them, understand like what is that the fire in their belly, why are they coming up with these innovations, why are they solving all these problems. I'm sure some of you guys will be going back with that motivation. Eventually you might give up your corporate jobs and get into this space. So that is my intention. Sure. Thank you so much for this opportunity, and all the best. Thank you.
Thank you very much, ma'am. I'm sure a lot of startups and young entrepreneurs over here will be able to benefit to the kind of initiatives you share and your words. With equal pleasure, now I extend a hearty welcome to Senior Director and Head, Balavikasa Center for Social and Responsible Business, Rahul Bharadwaj, onto the stage to share his valuable insights about Impulse 2023 and what a social expo holds for everyone.
Thank you, Moga. Welcome each month. So I still get very nervous. I still get very conscious of what I'm going to speak. So I follow a principle that I speak from my heart. So first of all, a very warm welcome to all the guests at our stage. They're all representing different forms of impact creation. Why I wanted to have that here was because we also don't believe that there is one solution. There is one way that we can create or we can find out the problems, find out the solutions for all the problems. Anshu mentioned that there are certain issues that people are talking about. There are certain issues people are not talking about. Maybe these are non-issues, or maybe these are the issues that are in the order of hierarchy, in the order of priority. They are not even there. So maybe the higher order issues or higher order problems are unsolved. These issues will come to fill. And then Mr. PBR mentioned about the kind of impact that he has created. They both and our founders have taken very different routes, and there is a very strong personal connect with each approach or each solution they have put forward and created an impact. We are all humans. We all have different ways to respond to a similar situation. And the similar or different kinds of problems affect us differently. Therefore, there is no one-size-fits-all approach. And that's why social entrepreneurship will be defined by different people in different ways. And we are open for that. The idea is to create a platform where divergent views, contrary views, different approaches, they come together, they interact, and they find a meaningful way to collaborate and then create the impact. To address different kinds of requirements for social entrepreneurship, one day is not enough, even probably one life is not enough. And they all have achieved great things in life. We are just starting. Once we start, we are all very young at this point in time. So they are all students of impact. They are all students of entrepreneurship. They are all students of development. So one day, what we do today will not give you everything that you need to know. But the idea behind curating this event is to give you some kind of direction, some kind of way forward, so that you can find your own solutions. Either on your own or in collaboration with others that you see here, you meet here. That's the idea behind putting up this event. This is the second edition of the event, and in terms of what we are seeing, it is better than what we did last time. We committed a lot of mistakes last time. I don't see many of them being committed today. So that's a good achievement. I would say that's an improvement. And that's what we want to do. So please take time, please absorb whatever is happening, please learn. And one common theme that all three have spoken about is that in addition to changing or what do you want to change in yourself, to be able to take your vision forward. I will now talk to you about what we have in store. We have two sets of activities today. One is the panel discussion, and one we have masterclass. They are happening in two different venues. And then we have expo running on the weekend. In panel discussions, we will cover different aspects which are relevant to both entrepreneurship, creating impact, managing leadership, and talking about the impact investment. Please see the schedule, please plan your day, please engage in discussions, please engage in plans. And then we have 3 master classes. Again, they are not going to give you all the knowledge, because one lifetime is also not enough to understand. But please, so thank you all, thank you, warm welcome. I think it's a good number to see, and let's hope to catch up with most of you during the day. Okay?
Thank you very much, Rahul. And adding to Rahul's words, I would like to share a few pointers with all the participants here. The event is divided into 2 zones and an expo. Activities in Inspire Zone include panel And the Impact Zone will hold communications and networking for social startups, masterclass on social stock exchange, business models for social enterprises. The expo will be held in the corridors. You can refer to the agenda given to you for further information on where any session is being held. Lunch will be held between 1:30 and 1:15 p.m. and tea would be served here in the same hall after the inauguration ceremony. So feel relaxed and have tea. Few more pointers. Choose the sessions you would like to attend prior the ceremony to ensure you reach the respective venues on time. Ensure you attend at least 2 events that would prove beneficial to you. Inauguration session. I request our founders and our keynote speakers to please come forward for the inauguration ceremony, which will be followed by the panel discussions. So there are various stalls that are being exhibited from different places.
This is my story. Yes. I built this company in 30 years and did, of course, a lot of social work too. So 10,000 children get benefited every year because of us. 20,000 adults get adult literacy in digital content. We have at least 12,000 children graduating from skilling. That's a small part of what we're doing. The bigger part is what we're creating wealth for the nation. I'll get you coffee.
She went to the flowers to see if we can call her. Right here.
So it's about getting close to $1 million. Right now it does this.
Please stay. Ask everybody to stay around the spot so that feedback, right? And this is our folder around it. This one starts from 27. This one is at 12,500. The gateway is 12,500. Yeah, kids also. Yeah. Small kids. Closed environments, campuses and communities, to commute from point A to point B. We have kept the cycles for trial also over here. Downstairs. You can just try out the cycles also. Little too late for that.
Yeah. Are you exporting or thinking to export?
No, but actually the motor and everything is made in India. The cells are being imported from China. It's 90% indigenous.
Outgrow. Why is it outgrow?
Yes, it is organization president. I started working with consulting companies, primarily working with farming is something new we have started using our network corporate expand access for digital transformation. I will take one item at a time.
Organization record everybody problems or everybody fear so we kind of customize based on can I know more about this? I can say like how if I may ask,
What's interesting, Shanta, you must have gone through this Esign, which
Why is it entitled Sing Meta? In the school?
yes.
Yes. They are planning.
They're spreading in the deaf schools. And mostly like hearing people have this special learning ecosystem. But when it comes to them, they don't have this. So this is just science has difficult subjects. There are a lot of barriers to teach the subject.
Very good. In Hyderabad, in the villages, where?
We started in Hyderabad. We are going to spread.
Across the world. Across the world.
across the world. They want to spread across the world. Congratulations, all the best.
Thank you.